So you're on this path, yeah. Always learning, always trying to get a better handle on things.
Mhm.
Well, for a lot of us, making sure our English is clear and effective, that's a huge part of it, connecting without static.
Absolutely.
Today, we're really zooming in. You gave us some great material in episode from Fix It Daily, English Made Simple.
That's the one.
And we're going to dig into that, pull out some of those really common in English mistakes people make.
Yeah, think of it as a focused look.
Right, like a guide to smooth things out.
Exactly. It's a fantastic resource you pointed us to, and our mission really is to break it down for you.
Okay.
We want to highlight those, actionable spots where English learners often stumble.
Understand why.
Understand the why, yeah, and give you clear fixes. The goal is those aha moments.
Definitely. Without getting lost in grammar jargon.
Precisely. No dense textbooks today.
Okay, let's kick off with one I hear, well, quite a bit. I am agree. It sounds sort of plausible, but what's the actual issue there, grammatically speaking?
It's a great place to start, and it comes down to how we classify words, really.
Okay.
Agree. In English, it's primarily a verb.
Yeah.
It's an action or a state you're in.
Right, like I run or I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually need that helper verb am like an adjective does. You wouldn't say, I am eat, would you?
No, true, because eat is the action.
Just like agree.
So it's not like describing yourself like, I am happy, where happy is the adjective.
Precisely. That's the key difference.
So the fix is, just drop the am. Seems almost too simple.
It often is. So you might hear, I am agree with your plan.
Right.
But the correct, more direct way is simply, I agree with your plan.
Cleaner.
Much cleaner, yeah. And it reflects how the verb agree works in English.
Got it. Okay. Recognizing agree as doing the work itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another one, he do instead of he does. That little as or as sound,
Yeah.
why is that so important?
Right. This one takes us to like a core idea in English grammar. Subject-verb agreement, especially in the present tense, for what we call the third-person singular.
He, she, it.
Exactly. For he, she, and it, the verb usually gets an S or S tacked on.
Okay.
It's like a little flag, signaling, hey, the subject is singular and this is happening now.
So someone might incorrectly say he do the dishes every night.
Yep, common slip-up.
And the fix is just adding that S to do. So
Yeah.
he does the dishes every night.
That's it. That small chain carries, well, quite a bit of grammatical weight.
Right.
Think of it as the verb changing slightly to match its partner, the subject.
Okay.
So the rule is, for he, she, it, present tense, add the S or S, usually.
Got it. Okay, next one. This one's interesting because you can sort of see the logic behind the mistake, even though it's wrong. I didn't win.
Ah, yes. This is where brains try to be a bit too logical sometimes.
How so?
Well, didn't.
Uh,
That's already past tense, right?
Yeah.
It's short for did not.
right. Did is the past of do.
Exactly. It's already carrying that past tense signal. So if you then add another past tense verb, like went,
Which is the past of go.
right, you're basically saying it happened in the past twice, like past.
Huh. Okay, that makes sense. Redundant.
Bit redundant, yeah.
Good.
The did already did the heavy lifting for the past tense.
So even though the action was in the past, we don't make the main verb past tense again if we've used didn't.
Exactly right. The rule is pretty clear. After did or didn't, the main verb just chills out. It goes back to its base form.
It's simplest form.
Yep. So it's not, I didn't went to the party. I didn't go
Right.
to the party. The go stays as go.
Okay. Any other examples?
Sure. You might hear, she didn't eat breakfast.
Should be.
She didn't eat breakfast. Same principle. One past marker is enough.
One is enough. Got it. Okay, let's switch gears. Talking about age. I have definitely heard people say things like, I have 30 years.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one.
Where does that come from?
This is a classic example of language transfer. How your first language influences your English.
Ah.
In many languages, particularly Romance languages like Spanish, French, Italian,
Mm.
the way you express age literally translates to having years.
So like, tengo 30 años in Spanish is, I have 30 years.
Exactly. It's a direct, perfectly normal construction in those languages.
But in English, even though it makes sense translated, it's not how we do it.
Nope. In English, we talk about age as a state of being.
Being.
We use the verb to be. So you say, I am 30 years old.
Or even just, I am 30.
Or just, I am 30, yeah. You're describing your state at that age, not possessing the years.
Interesting distinction. Okay. Moving on to a classic pair. Much versus many.
The countables and uncountables.
Right. When do we use which one? What's the basic rule?
The basic rule hinges on whether you can, well, count the noun you're talking about.
Okay.
Many is for your countable nouns, things you can point to and count individually. Apples, chairs, ideas, dogs.
One apple, two apples.
Right? Much, on the other hand, is for uncountable nouns. Things we think of as a mass, a substance, or an abstract concept that you don't usually count individually.
Right.
Like water, sand, time, information, advice, sugar.
Stuff you measure, maybe, but don't count one by one.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if I wanted to ask about apples, it would be wrong to say, how much apples do you want?
Correct. That's the common mistake. Apples are countable.
So it should be.
How many apples do you want?
Okay. And for an uncountable, like sugar.
Then you'd correctly ask, how much sugar do you need? Because sugar is treated as a mass.
Got it. Many for countables, much for uncountables. Seems straightforward when you lay it out.
It is, but it's easy to mix up in the moment.
True. Okay, next. She said me. This feels almost right, but not quite. What's the subtle problem?
You're right, it's very close. The issue is how the verb say works with objects, specifically people.
Okay.
Say doesn't usually take a person as its direct object like that. It generally needs a little helper word, a preposition.
Which preposition?
Usually two. It connects the verb say to the person who heard it.
So she said me the news is incorrect.
Technically, yes. It sounds a bit off in standard English.
How do we fix it then?
Two main ways. You can keep say, but add to. She said the news to me.
Right. The news is what was said. To me is who heard it.
Exactly. But there's often a better, more natural alternative.
Which is?
Use the verb tell, because tell does take a person as a direct object.
Ah, so you'd say.
She told me the news. Much smoother, usually.
That's a great tip. So the basic difference is you tell someone something, but you say something.
To someone.
Got it. Tell someone, say something to someone.
That's the gist of it. A small tweak, big difference in flow.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk about feelings and a pair that can cause, well, some awkward moments. Confusing, I'm boring, with I'm bored.
Oh yeah, this one's important. The meanings are really quite different.
Explain the difference. What does each one actually communicate?
Okay, so the core difference is who or what is causing the feeling of boredom. If you say, I'm boring, with the ing, you're describing yourself. You're saying you are the source of boredom for other people.
Uh-oh. Not usually what you mean to say.
Probably not. Now, if you say, I'm bored, with the in, you're describing your own feeling. You feel uninterested, unstimulated.
You are experiencing the boredom.
Exactly. You're the recipient of the feeling, not the cause.
So, scenario. You're watching a really dull movie. What do you say?
You say, I'm bored, because the movie is making you feel that way.
And if you accidentally said, I'm boring.
You'd be implying you are the reason the movie watching experience is dull.
Huh. Okay, so I'm bored is the feeling you have.
Right. And you'd say the movie is boring. The movie is the thing causing the boredom.
That ing versus difference for feelings is crucial. Boring describes the thing causing boredom. Bored describes the person feeling it.
Precisely. Very important distinction.
Okay, let's tackle prepositions. Those little words cause so much trouble, specifically in the weekend versus on the weekend.
Yeah, prepositions can be tricky beasts. For a weekend, though, there's a pretty clear standard.
Which is?
While you might sometimes hear in the weekend, maybe influenced by other languages or just very informal speech, the standard, widely accepted usage in both American and British English is on the weekend.
So on the weekend is the safer bet.
Definitely the safer, more standard choice, yes.
So asking about plans, what are you doing on the weekend?
Exactly. That's the typical phrasing.
Good to know. One less preposition headache.
Hopefully. While preposition logic can be weird sometimes, this one's fairly straightforward.
Okay, next up. Double negatives. A classic grammar rule break, like saying, I don't know nothing.
Right. The dreaded double negative.
What actually happens grammatically when you use two negatives like that?
Well, in standard English, the two negatives kind of cancel each other out.
Like in math, minus times minus equals plus.
Sort of like that, yeah. So the sentence ends up meaning the opposite of what the speaker usually intends.
So I don't know nothing technically means.
It technically means I do know something, because the not and the nothing negate each other.
Which is definitely not what people mean when they say that.
Almost never know. They mean they know zero things.
So how do you fix it? What about I don't have no money?
You need to get rid of one of the negatives. You could say, I don't have any money.
Okay, swapping no for any.
Or you could say, I have no money.
Getting rid of the don't.
Exactly. Both
Mm,
work. For I don't know nothing, the standard correction is I don't know anything.
right. Need to be careful not to accidentally say the opposite of what you mean.
Absolutely. Clarity is key.
Okay, finally, let's touch on pronunciation. Specifically, those ed endings on past tense verbs, like in walked or laughed.
Mm.
Are we supposed to say a clear ed sound, like walked?
Generally, no. That's a really common misconception, especially for learners. The ed ending signals past tense, yes, but it's not always pronounced as a full syllable like that.
So how is it pronounced?
It actually depends on the very last sound of the base verb before you add the ed. There are basically three possibilities.
Three ways. Okay, what are they?
It can sound like a T sound, a D sound, or a distinct syllable like in wanted.
Okay, can you give examples for each? When does it sound like T?
It sounds like T when the base verb ends in an unvoiced consonant sounds made without your vocal cords vibrating, like K, P, S, S, G, F.
So walk ends in K.
Right, so walked sounds more like walk T.
Right.
Same with laughed, kissed, kiss T, help T.
Okay, makes sense. What about the D sound?
That happens when the base verb ends in a voiced sound, either a voiced consonant where your vocal cords do vibrate, like B, G, V, Z, L, M, N, R, or any vowel sound.
So play ends in a vowel sound.
Exactly. So played sounds like played, played. Same with called, called, loved, loved, opened, opened D.
Right. And the third way, the aid sound.
That one's reserved for verbs that already end in a T or D sound, like want or need or decide.
Ah, so you need an extra syllable there to make it clear.
Precisely. Otherwise, it would be hard to hear the ending. So want becomes want aid, need becomes need.
Wanted, needed, decided.
Exactly. Those are the only times you add that full extra syllable sound.
That's super helpful. So it's not random. It depends on the verb's ending sound.
It's systematic, yeah.
And getting that right really helps your English sound more fluid, natural.
It's definitely more natural, more native-like. It's one of those pronunciation details that makes a big difference in overall fluency.
Okay, wow. Let's sort of recap. We've covered 10 really common areas where English can get a bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from I am agree right through to pronouncing those aid endings, all pulled from that Fix It Daily material you shared.
Yeah, it's quite a list when you lay it all out.
It really highlights how these seemingly small things can impact clarity, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think the key takeaway, something your source also touched on, is not to get overwhelmed.
Right. Don't try to fix all 10 tomorrow.
Exactly. That idea of just picking one thing, maybe two, to focus on for a bit, that's a much more manageable and, frankly, effective approach.
Gradual improvement. One small step at a time.
It's all about consistency, isn't it? Little bits of focused attention add up over time. That leads to real progress in your confidence and how clearly you communicate.
Absolutely. It's about that steady, mindful practice.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about these 10 points. Which one or maybe two resonate the most?
Which ones might sneak into your own speech sometimes?
Yeah. And then just try to listen for it. Actively listen, not just in yourself, but maybe when you hear others speak English too.
Become aware.
That awareness is, well, it's the first huge step. It opens the door to self-correction and really getting a deeper feel for how English works, those little nuances.